You know those times when you see that shiny new piece of gear that you absolutely want? And it's more of a heart thing than a logical thing or a business decision. For me, it was the Leica Apo Summicron 50. God, I was so looking forward to buying that lens. And when I sold off my Nikon gear, because I said this before, and I had to tell people in comments continually, it's not a bad system at all. Like if somebody needed that type system, that's the first one I would recommend. It's just a great system. The Z6 II, the Z7 II, I'm sure the Z8 and Z9 are spectacular as well. But it just wasn't for me anymore. I'm so enjoying the M11 experience, and you know, I do need a backup. I have the Q2 and it's a great backup, but man, God, I wanted that lens. Anyway, so, you know, it brought me back to this point when I was like, I think I was 19 years old, 20 years old. And the girlfriend's father had this old woody station wagon. You know, those big, ugly station wagons. Like, it was so bad. Anyway, I said, why would you buy this? Because the guy had some money. He could have bought any car he wanted. And he says, I'll let you know next week. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean, you know? Anyway, they were going on vacation. They invited me to go. He packed up everything, threw everything in the back. All the luggage fit in the back. He had to tie anything to the roof. His 3 kids and myself, and he and his wife got in the car and started driving. I'm like, oh, this is comfortable. Like, you know? And he said, yeah, exactly. He said, do you still want to know why I bought it? And I'm like, no, I get it. Okay, you know, it's still ugly. You know, there's so much nicer cars out there. He says, well, you know, he said, sometimes the need outweighs the wants. And there it was. And he used the car for his work too, which he needed the back for, and it just fit all his needs. And it was very comfortable doing it. And that's when I got to the point where I said, you know, I rent when I need. I use the Q2 for backup, but, you know, for the amount of times I rent, you know, you do the basic math and you're like 1 year in and you're paying for a camera. So I just said, okay, I got to get the second camera, something that's going to be enjoyable to me, that, you know, will complement what I'm shooting now. And then I could use the M lenses on, so I don't have to buy lenses, you know. I didn't do YouTube searches or hear everybody's opinion. I just said, this is what I want, this is what I need, and matched up a camera to do it. And yes, the Leica brand pushed me towards the Leica brand because of Leica. You know, I do like the system. So I got the SL2S, and I have not shot with this yet. I've held it. But the true story comes to these lenses. I have an 85 on here, the Lumix 85 1.8. And I was just going to buy one. I was figured, you know, I'll just buy one 50mm lens, and that's it, because I'm going to use manual focus as much as I possibly can. And I can use my M lenses on this. It's supposed to be spectacular. So I said, you know, just buy one autofocus just in case you need it. Anyway, I ended up getting the 85. I got the Sigma 45mm. It just, because it looks so cool, the way it was built and everything. It's an all metal body. It's a 45 2.8. I don't need anything more than 2.8. I'm usually using these for events. And this thing is small form factor, so I love that about it. And I got the 50 Lumix 1.8. Now, you may ask yourself, why, when you were going to only buy one, did you end up buying 3 lenses? Well, I originally bought the 50, and when I saw it, I was like, there has to be a mistake. It was $200. I'm thinking, okay. I didn't ask. I just said, you know, it's a Lumix. It's probably going to be good. Let's just leave it alone and purchase it and try it. But then I saw the 45 and said, wow, these contemporary lenses are very nice. You know, maybe I should get this and compare them, and I'll just send the one back that I don't like. Fair enough. And then I'm looking through the other L glass. It was on a used site. And I saw the 85 for $250. And I'm like, wait a second. You know, 3 lenses under $600? You know, give me some smelling salts. I couldn't believe it. So I said, you know what? I was going to spend That on one lens, in my mind, that's what I was going to spend. But I got 3 lenses for the price of one, for less than the price of one. So I'm kind of happy about that. Now, I am so geared in on the Voigtlander glass, the Leica glass, because I like the build quality, I like the manual focus. I will never manual focus one of these lenses. And, I really don't have to send one back because it really is the cost of one lens. I just got great deals, and they all look spectacular. I also got the SL2S body used, and it is like new condition. The other thing is the battery, for you Q2, Q3, SL2, SL2S, the new battery that came out with the Q3 has more power in it, gives you more shots, and is less or over $100 cheaper than the originals. You just can't find them anywhere. They're nowhere to be found. But day before yesterday, I figured I'm just going to go on Leica's site to see if they have any updates on it. And it said add to cart, so I added one to the cart and bought it as quickly as I possibly could. So I'm thinking, but I figured, but maybe they just got the shipment in and they're going to be ready, available now. And anyway, I thought, maybe I should have bought one for my daughter as well because she has the Q2. And I went back on, and they were out. So I think I just got lucky on that one thing. Anyway, this is simple. Like, it's a 24 megapixel camera. I know people bitch about the weight and so forth, but it's the same weight as the new Nikon Z8, Z9. It's what I'm used to with the D3X. It's a normal weight. Carrying 2 of these for a wedding, I would bitch. But carrying a Leica M11 and having this as a backup in a bag, I'm good with that. Like, I only carry one camera at an event. I'll have the other one very, very close by for key moments in the event that I can't miss, or I'll throw it over my shoulder for those key moments. But other than that, they're in the bag, and I'm out of sight, out of mind, because one camera, one lens. I'll go over to the bag and change if I need to. I was watching a video this morning, as a matter of fact. It was like 4 photographers shoot the same model. And I mean, they did a nice job, don't get me wrong, but this one guy had this huge backpack on, and I think he was shooting a Fuji XE4, but the backpack was like from his neck down to his ass. It was huge, and I'm thinking, he's doing the contortion stuff that some photographers do. Like, all these photographers did the contortion stuff, which, you can actually take photos without contorting. I promise you. I think it's just like set in because you get, I have to go a little lower, and they move back and forth. Like, just relax, calm down and just shoot. Anyway, shoot the way you want. It cracks me up every time I see it. Anyway, but I'm just thinking, oh my God, these backpacks, and how do you shoot like that? Like, it's just not enjoyable to me. I mean, this camera is heavy, and I can get it through a full event with this camera, believe me, without an issue. But oh my God, it's, carrying 2 of these with lenses and a pack. Like, I won't even carry my bag in an event. Like, this to me is cumbersome. I don't want it around me. I'll throw the spare battery in my pocket, a card in my pocket, and have the camera. That's it. What else do I need? Anyway, that being said, we're gonna have a shoot with this today. I'm not reviewing this camera. I'm sure it's spectacular. It's gonna do what it's supposed to do. I did play with it. The autofocus seems absolutely fine to me. As YouTube photographers, I'm sure it's just not up to their standards. But for real working photographers, it's fantastic. I think it's will do exactly what I need it to do. And especially that, I did see this oh my God, almost 8 months ago, and the photographer said, I can't use this for a wedding, it's too slow. I'm thinking, what kind of sprinting and aerobics and stuff go on at your weddings that, the fastest thing that ever happened to me is the bride walking down the aisle, and they're usually, or them dancing on the dance floor. They're not sprinting from side to side. What kind of speed do you need for a wedding? I don't get that. Anyway, I apologize. I don't mean to rat on these people, but it just cracks me up. Anyway, let's do the shoot. I'm going to take a look at some pictures. Oh, and I'm going to actually use just the little flash, the SF. The SF-26. I love this little flash. Like, I really, really do. And, if I can do an event with the M11 without a flash at all, I would do it. And I love this on the M11 as well. I'm like really considering just switching over the SF26s and ditching the Fujis. Not that they're not good. I mean, I love them. But, for that convenience of this and for how often I use it, like it's kind of a no-brainer for me. I'm on the edge. Anyway, so I'm going to throw this on and shoot the model as well. I just have a girl coming in and said, hey, could you come in and shoot with me because I want to play with this camera. And she was more than happy to do it. Anyway, here's the shoot coming up. She'll be here in a couple hours and I'll show you the shoot. And then we'll take a look at the photos together and see how it does. But yeah, I want to see what the low light is on this and the flash and go from there to see if it's a really good workhorse kind of camera. Anyway, thanks for watching. Well, starting off with an on-camera flash, I'm using the SF26. This is a discontinued Leica flash, but I do like this flash, like the form factor. It runs on 2 AAA batteries, so depending on ISO. And here's the thing: like my first shoot, I'm shooting all auto everything, or I'm sorry, it was aperture priority. I set it on auto ISO. I just wanted to see what the camera can do. I don't shoot like this, but nothing tests a camera like this. White balance I put on daylight, just because I'm using flash, and since I'm shooting in RAW, it doesn't matter. But I wanted a good start point, and that's usually a good start point with this flash. I switched over to the what is it? The SFI 40 now. Because I really wanted to, I want to see how these things do. With the white wall, I was a little underexposed. I pulled it out in post. That's the only thing I did to these images. Nothing else was done. Color balance and everything just stayed the way it was. I really had no issues with the color balance setting it at daylight. But I did have to pull some of these that were against the white wall. Now down here, this is like one of the dark corridors of this building. Obviously with the video it's pulling it out quite a bit, but I have the overhead lighting. Again, I just want to stress out this camera. Now this I did have to color correct. I did cool this down quite a bit because it was it was very, very warm where it was because I was set on daylight, obviously. But the photos come out beautiful. I'm pushing ISO 6400 in this one. I'm like really, when you hear, the noise is okay, it's really well handled, you just think, okay, well, I hate noise on a camera, and please don't call it grain, it's noise. Grain you get with film and nothing else. This is just digital noise, but it is very well controlled. Now this is the darkest room in the whole building. I just have light coming in from those windows, and it's, it looks very bright out there, but it's not, and it's diffused light. This is ISO 10,000. I am impressed, because I am so anal about digital noise, and I would be happy to use that. This is a furniture store. It is actually dark in here, but I have window light coming in from the sides. This is ISO 1000, I believe. Like it really is hard to believe. I wanted to throw backlight on a couple shots to see how the focusing system did. And you will see it killed it. I honestly had no issue with this focusing system, and the eye autofocus worked fantastic. I mean, it just didn't miss. There was one time, like I said, I'm on highlight weighted metering, and it did a really good job. I did have to pull her out a little bit because of the highlight weighted metering because of the back window, but that wasn't an issue at all. It was just very light, and these probably stayed around 1000. I did have a couple at 800 ISO, again because it was set on auto ISO. I apologize. I saw this egg, and I figured this is going to be a really good challenge for the for the autofocus. No problem. I did push her back in that egg, and then I had a problem with autofocus, but then I sent it to spot. This chair is same thing. Since I was set to
highlight weighted, it was picking up the light from the back and adjusting for that. Then I put it on spot so the camera, when the camera can see, the the autofocus works. If you're looking at it and it's too dark, the autofocus is going to struggle. So setting it to spot, metered off of her, it worked just fine. Now, in the studio, I wanted to try the Godox Leica remote just to see how it would do. I'm using one straight AD300. I'm starting off with a hard reflector. All these things are just I'm doing to stress out this camera and the metering system and all that kind of stuff. And now I started off with the TTL. Again, it just tanked. TTL with the Godox it's just not there yet for Leica. I know it is there for other brands, but for Leica, it's just not there yet. Hopefully they'll fix that. I know there was a firmware update on the SL2 and SL2S just for the Profoto Leica remote, but nothing on Godox end to update that yet. There's the hard light. I moved it to the center. It's straight down. I love that look. Now I'm just throwing a shoot-through umbrella on it. Again, I'm trying everything. I just wanted to, I don't know if I was looking to screw up this camera or to make it not work correctly or change the color balance. I don't know. But I really wanted to stress it out. And I didn't have an issue. Like, it was a beautiful experience, if you will. I don't know how else to put it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the shoot. I'm going to give you a little closing here of what I thought of it. And thanks for watching, as always.
I thought I'd hop on really quick now that you saw the shoot and give you my final thoughts on this camera and this lens, actually. I'm kind of blown away by this lens. Camera-wise, I'm really impressed with the output. I like what Leica did with this sensor because it's not over digital, it's not over processed, and that's my biggest complaint with so many of the cameras. Because everybody is so obsessed with sharpness and micro contrast, and they want it, just what's the word they use? Crunchy. The skin tones, everything. I really enjoyed this setup. I can't imagine wanting a sharper lens than the 85. I didn't change lenses. I had plans on shooting the 50 and the 45 and the 85, but I was enjoying shooting this so much, this lens, that I just said, I'll just bring her back and do another lens another time. Camera weight wasn't an issue at all, but it was a short shoot, so you really can't say anything with that. Focus, I took it to, as you saw in the thing, I took it to every dark corner in the building. The only issue I had was on that red chair in that one corner where it was struggling a little bit, but I switched it over to spot metering because it was taking the whole scenario, and the image was just too dark because of her background. And when I took it over to spot metering, it just locked right on to her eyes. I didn't have one single issue with focusing, and when I did, I switched it over to spot metering so it'd bring up the light in the image, and it worked perfectly. So, honestly, this focusing system was fast for me and accurate. I don't think I've seen one out of focus image. There was a couple where it focused on the eyelashes. I think there was 2 or 3 of those, but the rest of them, everything was solid. So don't disregard, anybody shooting an L camera. These 85 1.8S, 50 1.8S, I'm really, really impressed. I mean, it's a plastic lens, but I take care of my equipment, so it's not like I'm going to break this thing. I didn't use the lens hood at all. I was inside, so I obviously wouldn't need that. I like this setup. I was interested in the Sigmas because of the size and the metal bodies and so forth. But with these lenses working the way they are and the price, used 200, 250. Like, that's insane for this good of a lens. Just my opinion. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the shoot. They're pretty much my final thoughts on my very first time with this camera. The 24 megapixels is just, it's perfect. For what I'm going to be using this camera for, I'm not going to have an issue whatsoever or a complaint myself. And I have the M11 with the 60 megapixel for my commercial work. This is a pretty nice little setup. It really is. Weight aside, it's a nice little camera and setup. And like I said, the images are not crunchy digital to me. It's like listening to a vinyl record versus, there's just that something. Anyway, thanks for watching as always.